Imagine waking up one morning, checking the news, and seeing one headline everywhere. The US dollar is no longer the world's most powerful currency. For most people, that sounds like something that only matters to politicians, banks, or Wall Street investors. But here's the truth. If the dollar loses power, it does not just affect governments. It can affect the price of your groceries, the value of your savings, the cost of fuel, the interest rate on your loans, and even the future of your country's economy. For decades, the US dollar has not just been America's currency, it has been the world's currency. Oil is priced in dollars. Global trade is often settled in dollars. Central banks hold dollars as reserves. International loans are issued in dollars. And during financial panic, investors still run toward the dollar like it is the safest building in a storm. But something is slowly changing. The dollar is not collapsing overnight. It is not disappearing tomorrow. But its grip on the world is slowly becoming weaker. And to understand why, we have to go back to one simple question. Why did the world trust the dollar in the first place? After World War II, the United States became the strongest economy on Earth. Europe was damaged. Japan was rebuilding. Many countries needed stability. And America had the gold, the factories, the military strength, and the political influence. So the dollar became the center of the global financial system. For years, countries trusted the dollar because America looked stable, powerful, and reliable. Even after the dollar was no longer directly backed by gold, the world continued using it because the system was already built around it. This gave America a powerful advantage. The United States could borrow money more easily. It could print the world's most demanded currency. It could place sanctions that actually mattered. And it could influence the global economy in a way no other country could. This is sometimes called America's exorbitant privilege. But privilege can last only as long as trust remains strong. And today, some of that trust is being questioned. One reason is debt. The United States has built a massive government debt burden. Every year, Washington spends more than it earns, borrows more money, and depends on investors around the world to keep buying U.S. debt. Now, debt itself does not automatically destroy a currency. Big economies can carry large debt for a long time. But when debt grows too fast, people start asking uncomfortable questions. Can America keep paying this back? Will the government print more money? Will inflation reduce the real value of the dollar? And if those questions become louder, confidence becomes weaker. The second reason is inflation. For years, Americans were told inflation was under control. But after the pandemic, prices surged. Food, rent, fuel, insurance, and basic services became more expensive. When people inside America feel their dollar buys less, countries outside America notice the same thing. A currency is not just paper, it is trust. If the dollar keeps losing purchasing power, then the world starts looking for backup options. The third reason is geopolitics. When the United States uses the dollar system as a weapon through sanctions, other countries start thinking, what happens if one day we are on the wrong side of America? This does not mean all countries suddenly hate the dollar, but it does mean countries like China, Russia, and even some emerging economies want alternatives. They want to trade more in local currencies. They want to buy more gold. They want to reduce their full dependence on a system controlled by Washington. And this is where the idea of de-dollarization comes in. De-dollarization does not mean the dollar dies tomorrow. It means the world slowly uses the dollar a little less than before. A country may settle oil in another currency. A central bank may add more gold to its reserves. A trade deal may be signed without dollars. A regional payment system may avoid the U.S. banking network. Individually, these moves look small, but over time, they create a pattern. The world is not abandoning the dollar. The world is preparing for a future where the dollar is not the only option. But here is the important part. The dollar is still extremely powerful. No other currency has fully replaced it. The euro has problems. China's yuan is controlled by the Chinese government. Gold is not easy to use for daily global trade. Bitcoin is too volatile for most countries. And many alternative systems are still too small. So the dollar is not losing because another currency is clearly stronger. It is losing power because the world is becoming more divided. Countries want options. They want protection. They want independence. and they do not want one currency to control their entire financial future. So what does this mean for normal people? First, it could mean higher prices. If the dollar weakens, imported goods can become more expensive for Americans. Electronics, clothing, fuel, and many everyday items can cost more. Second, it could mean higher borrowing costs. If foreign investors become less eager to hold U.S. debt, the government may need to offer higher interest rates to attract buyers. That can affect mortgages, credit cards, car loans, and business loans. Third, it could affect savings. If inflation remains high and the dollar weakens over time, money sitting in cash may lose purchasing power. This is why the dollar story matters. It is not just about currency. It is about power. For decades, America's strength was not just its army or its economy. It was the fact that the world needed dollars. But now, more countries are asking, what if we need dollars less? That is the real shift, not a sudden collapse, not a dramatic ending, but a slow decline in dependence. And sometimes, the biggest changes in history do not happen with one loud explosion. They happen quietly, one trade deal at a time, one central bank decision at a time, one country at a time. So the real question is not whether the dollar will disappear. It probably will not. The real question is, what happens when the world's most powerful currency becomes just a little less powerful than before? Because for governments, that could mean less control. For markets, that could mean more volatility. And for everyday people, that could mean one thing: your money may not be as safe as you think. The dollar is still king. But for the first time in a long time, the world is quietly preparing for a future where the king has less control over the kingdom. If this video helped you see finance a little differently, subscribe to the channel for more clear and honest money breakdowns. Thanks for watching.